Welcome back. During this video session, we're going to talk about how to add and manage content within your WordPress website. During this whole tutorial, we're only going to be working within this pages section here, so I can click on all pages to see a list of all of the pages that have been developed within this website. I can hover on a particular page and notice that this navigation menu will appear where I can edit, quick edit, throw away, or view a page. So if I click view, it would bring up the page where I can see it live on the website. Deleting it would obviously be deleting it. I very rarely use quick edit. It's just if you want a quick way to change the title without going in and actually hitting the edit button, for example, but there's very little I ever do inside of quick edit. So I'll just click cancel. Instead, I spend all of my time just by clicking edit. And it pulls up this page where I can edit the content and information inside of it. So I'm just going to go through each section here, and feel free to pause and take notes if you would like to. I'm going to go a little bit fast because I don't, these videos tend to be long enough as they are. So I'm going to go a little bit fast here, but feel free to pause and take notes or rewind as much as you'd like to. The very top bar is the title bar. It's the title that will appear here on the page. You can have a different page title that differs from the navigation title. For example, if I want to change About Us to About Same Day Office Supply, I can change that title, and then on the right side I have a little Publish module where I can either preview the changes, and that will show up in a new window, or I can update the page, which is a blue button, which will actually make it live on the site. I like the preview button because it allows me to see a change before it's live on my website. If I did in fact like the look of that title, then I click the blue update button. I can come back to the live page and refresh, and it shows up here, but notice what happens on my top navigation bar. It will actually break it a little bit where you'll see it kind of wrapped around because this navigation bar only has so much room, right? We don't want the navigation bar width to go outside of the actual website. So what will happen is when you add a longer title up here, and the title, it will automatically change the top navigation bar, and then it will force everything else to wrap around. So what do I do in that instance is I can actually go down to Appearance and Menus, as we talked about in the last video. This is where we're going to customize our top navigation bar. Notice how the top navigation bar will display exactly as my page title unless I change it. So I can click that little drop down arrow, and I can change this to just say About Us. Click Save Menu, and then I can come back to the live page and refresh it, and notice now my page title is different than my navigation menu text. Okay, so I would simply update it on my website first under Pages, come into Menus, change it here, and then save. If I go back to all pages and edit the About Same Day Office Supply page now, so this is my title bar. Then you'll see a line that says permalink. This is actually the URL to the specific page. Okay, now we are looking at a development URL here, so this would normally be different. But if I want, I can actually change the URL. So instead of About-Us, I could actually change it to something that's more friendly for search engines, such as About Same Day Office Supply. If I click OK, but then I still have to click the blue update button. Now when I refresh the page, since About-Us no longer exists, it's going to say this is an invalid page, but if I click on About Us, it will automatically be updated. Now if you come up here, you'll see my new URL to that page. Now that is something that is more search engine friendly because Google will come in and be scanning each page of your website for certain keywords. You don't want to fill your page with a bunch of keywords that don't relate to you. That's called keyword stuffing. You want it to be directly related to this page content. So if I change it to about same day office supply here, and then I have about same day office supply here, Google is going to recognize, oh, this page is about same day office supply. Versus if it was just about dash us, well, that doesn't give Google a whole lot to go off of, except for your main URL, right? Your main domain name. So sometimes it's nice for pages to be customized in the permalink line here. We have our title, we have our permalink line. This is purely optional. When you change a permalink line, I really don't recommend it to be more than 5 words, all lowercase and separated by this little dash here. Just a little tip. Then we come down to the main content area, as you can see here. You'll have a toolbar that looks very similar to Microsoft Word. Now make a note about this. There are 2 types of editors in WordPress. The first is the visual editor. This is what you're used to seeing like in Microsoft Word. There's also an HTML editor, which will allow you to edit the page in HTML code. Note that the pretty toolbar went away. So you have a visual editor and an HTML editor. Since you're starting out and probably don't know HTML code, I would of course recommend the visual editor. The toolbar should look very familiar to you. Bold, italics, underline, except I can't even think of an instance where I would suggest that you underline something unless it's a link, because otherwise that's confusing for your web visitor. You can turn something into a bulleted list, a numbered list. Okay, so point A, point B, point C. And I can just highlight those points and turn it into a bulleted list or a numbered list if I want to, or not. I can indent that content if I want to. I can, I can make something a line if I want to. Oops, I think I'm going a little too fast for it. So I can make something centered if I want to, right aligned or left aligned. Now I'm going to teach you how to make a link. Highlight the text that you want to convert into a link, and you're going to click the little link icon. If I hover over a button long enough, the description of that button will appear so that I can make sure that I'm in the right area. This is to insert or edit a link, so I can just click that little button, and I type in the URL, such as google.com. Now the title is if I want to add in keywords that explain to Google what this link is. So I could even say something like, search Google for products related to same day office supply. So I can actually give it a pretty long title if I want to. Again, you don't want to go overboard. A problem that a lot of internet marketers faced in the past is they did keyword stuffing. They tried to stuff in a bunch of keywords that had nothing to do with this link or nothing to do with this page, and Google can actually penalize you for that in your search engine rankings. So anytime that you're giving something a title or an alternative description, you want to make sure that it is related to this page. I can also opt to have this link open in a new window or tab in my internet browser. I always have links to outside websites open in a new window or tab. So if I click on point A, it takes me to google.com. It's not removing your website and replacing it with Google's website instead. It will actually open up a new window like this. So if I ever want to exit out of google.com, I land back to your website. So outside websites open in a new window or tab. If it's just a link to another page within my same website, then I don't need to click that button. I click Add Link, and notice that the color has turned to blue and underlined. It might be different for your website depending on your website styling, but we know that that has converted to a link. I can again click Preview Changes, and we'll see that point A goes to Google. I did not have it open in an outside link, but you'll see that that has converted to a link. While I'm on this page, I want to show you something else. How can you tell if you're looking at a preview page or a page that's live on your website? A preview page will have added all of this extra numbers and letters into the URL bar versus a live page does not have that. So anytime if you're stuck and wondering why you're not seeing a change or something just looks off to you, check to see if you're looking at the preview link. Now let's say I want to add a video into my website, okay? Because video is the thing. You definitely want video in your website. Well, I always suggest you upload the video to YouTube and then embed that video into your website. Why? Because you'll get so much more exposure that way. Why not take advantage of one of the largest social networks on the internet today, YouTube, and get all of that exposure and that website traffic back to your website? And YouTube will take care of the hosting cost for your video versus you doing it. There's just multiple benefits to using YouTube. So you can go to youtube.com, get an account, upload your videos there, and then we can actually take that video and embed it into your content here. Your website should have this cool little YouTube icon. If I click on this, a little pop-up button appears that says, okay, what's the URL of the video that you want in your page? I would just come over here, highlight this top navigation link, right-click, and click copy. Come back here, right-click, paste. You can also set the dimensions if you want to, and I'm just going to hit OK. Now you'll see that it has embedded my video here. If I preview the changes, we will see my video is now here on the website. Okay? That's how I can embed a video to my website. You can also upload videos into Dailymotion, Vimeo, other video sharing sites as well. Continuing on with our tutorial, let's say that we want to increase the font size to grab people's attention. I can increase the font size. I can change the heading if I want it to really stand out. Let's talk about Microsoft Word next. A lot of times clients will like to write all of their content inside of Microsoft Word and then paste it directly into WordPress. So sometimes we'll see different, bold and different fonts and highlighting and this and that. And I just want to make a note that if you copy that and try to paste that into WordPress, it's actually going to remove the styling that you had before. So notice there's no yellow highlighting here. There's no different font on this paragraph. I suggest you to either write the content directly into WordPress, or if you really need to do it inside of Microsoft Word, that's fine. But what I would do is just make sure that you're doing the styling afterward inside of WordPress. Otherwise, it's just kind of wasted time for you. From here, you can then highlight the text and change, the color if you want to red or whatever you need to do. That's why we have this toolbar inside of here to make it really, really simple and a natural transition from using Microsoft Word. So you'll notice that I just changed the color of the text using the color wheel. I can highlight text if I want to. I can preview the changes. So for example, if I don't like the way that looks, I can go back and edit again before it goes live to the website. I just love that preview button. If I've made a mistake, I can undo it. I can also spell check my text, which is awesome. You want to be sure to always spell check for grammar and everything before you publish it online. We've now changed the title. We've talked about changing the link. We've talked about the two different kinds of editors. We've talked about the toolbar and how to edit content, how to add video. Let's say that we want to add an image. I can go to this upload insert line. a pop-up will appear saying, okay, what image do you want to add? I can either select the files from my computer, or I can take an image that is sitting on my computer and just drag it into this box here and drop it. The file will be uploaded, and then I get to a screen like this. Now here are a couple of important tips that I would write down about images. Number one, it's always best to resize your image before you upload it to WordPress. For example, if you take a photograph with your digital camera, it's going to be a huge file size, usually 2,500 to 3,500 pixels wide. That's a huge file. Versus if you notice that this little Twitter image I just added is only 116 pixels wide by 43 pixels tall. That's a very small little image. I don't suggest that you have to make it that small, but you definitely want to make sure that it's less than 1,000 pixels wide. If you have just a small headshot, most images that you're going to add to your pages will probably be 300 pixels wide or less. So even if you resize it down to 1,000 pixels, that's going to be even better. How do you resize images, you say? Well, if I just go to Google and I say resize images, you'll see that there are tons of really easy ways for you to do that. Shrinkpictures.com is one of them, where you can actually just upload your file, select the new maximum image dimension. So we said that most of your images online are going to be 300 pixels or smaller. So you could even pick 760. I know this is a little technical. You might need to watch the section again. But the problem is that if you upload a huge file, a 3,000 pixel wide photo into WordPress, number one, WordPress has a file size limit that you might not meet. So if the file size is too large, you're going to have to resize it anyway. Number two is that huge images, when they are forced to become smaller, they get really grainy. Versus if you have a small size photo, it will show up looking really crisp and clear. But if this had been a 3,000 pixel photo, it would just be really grainy and jaggedy. It'd be really hard to see everybody's faces. So you just want to make sure that you're showing quality photos on your website. And for example, this space is probably 700 pixels or smaller, just to give you a sense of size here. So a 300 pixel image is probably going to be something about that size, about that width. Again, you can just Google resize images. You'll come across a system that will work for you. I know that on both Macs and PCs, they have programs already on your computer that allow you to resize images as well. So number one, resize the images before you upload them into WordPress. Then you'll see a series of options. You always want to add a descriptive title. So you could say something like, follow same day office supply on Twitter. Now I'm adding in keywords. Same day office supply is a keyword and Twitter is a keyword. I'm telling Google what this image is, so I'm better describing it, and that's only going to help with my search engine rankings. You can change the title slightly if you'd like to add an alternate text. That's only going to help with your search engine optimization. The caption is what would show up just beneath the Twitter image. I rarely add captions personally, but you might want to. You can also give this a description. Again, a short description of what this is. You might be thinking, well, gosh, Amber, it sounds really repetitive to add a title, add alternate text, and add a description. And you're right, it is repetitive, but if it helps with your search engine rankings, why not? Then you have a link URL, meaning this image is set automatically to be clickable to itself, basically. I would change that in this instance. I would change that to, twitter.com/same day, whatever my Twitter URL is. If I don't want to make the image clickable, I would just select none and leave that blank. I would never have the image clickable to itself though, unless I was showcasing a product of mine and it really required a zoom effect in order to really see the quality of my product, for example. Otherwise, I usually leave this blank or go to an outside website. Alignment is really important, so make a note next to this. You can set your alignment to none, in which case the text will show up above the image and below the image, but never next to it. If you ever get stuck, just look at the little icons here. If I select left alignment, that means that my page text is going to wrap around that image. Center means that my text will try to wrap around either side, which I don't really personally like the look of that. So I usually just do left alignment or right alignment. Right alignment, of course, means that the text is going to wrap around the image this way. I think that it looks so much better when you select your alignment. Sometimes when we're new to WordPress, we don't think about it and just leave it at its default of none. And then it looks really weird on the page and you might be struggling for a while trying to figure out how to make it look better. Well, just make sure that you set your alignment. In terms of size, always select medium, large, or full. Don't select thumbnail because it's actually going to crop your image and it's going to look really weird. And I suggest you to open up a test page inside of WordPress and even try selecting thumbnails so that you can visually see what I'm talking about. Experiment and really try different options so that you're getting a better feel for the system. Because this image is already so small, it's really only giving me one option here for size, which is putting it in as big as it already is. If this image was, say, 1,000 pixels wide, then I would have all of these options pop up and showing me different sizes. But again, just because my image is already so small, it's not going to give me that option. When I've filled out this whole section, I'm just going to click Insert into Post, and you'll see your image appear. You can click Preview Changes, and you'll see it pop up. Now let's say that I thought, it's just a little too big and I'm already past the option and settings screen. Well, I can just click on that image and click this little edit image icon on the left, and then it'll look slightly different, but my options will appear again. So I can change the alignment if I want to right alignment. Under advanced settings, I can change the size. So for example, if I wanted it 90 pixels wide, I can just update that. Preview changes. Now you see the alignment is set, so my text wraps around it, and my image is now smaller. If I don't want that image anymore, I can click the delete button on my keyboard, or I can just click that little icon there, and now my image is gone. If I made a mistake in doing that, I can click the undo button, for example. Might have to readjust some of my settings, just depends. It just depends. So now we have learned video, images. We're making really good progress on the video. Hopefully by now you're not so afraid of WordPress and you're excited about it. One other thing that I want to note about images is that you want to use images that you have the rights to use, or royalty-free images. You can always go to a website like iStockPhoto.com and buy the rights to use an image, but I would not suggest just going to Google and typing in a keyword and looking up an image and just using somebody else's image. You want to either take the photo yourself, or you want to buy the rights to the photo and use that on your website. Just because some photographers have copyrighted their image, you want to make sure that you're using best practices there. And I've found that a lot of clients don't know about these types of things, so I wanted to make sure to express that here on this training video. If you go to something like Flickr, for example, and you want to use a photo on here, you can absolutely do so. It's just that sometimes they will ask that you add their name and give credit to that author by using their photo. And you can absolutely do something like that, but it's just best practice to really pay attention to the terms of use on the copyright rules of photos so that you're not getting in trouble. few last things I'm going to teach you about editing pages. So on our right-hand side, we can again preview or publish or update our page. But I also want to show you a couple more options. So for example, status. If I have a page that has been published, it's live on the website, and I actually want to change it to draft so that it's not live on the website anymore, I can click update there. And when I do so, that page will be removed, okay? But if I want to go back, I can publish that page and then it will appear again on my website. Although I'm guessing you're going to have to go back into menus and add that page again so that it shows up on the website. So I'm just going to add that back up here. And now we have that edit added back in. You can change the status to publish or draft here. Visibility. It can be visible to the public, it can be private, or it can be password protected. If I want to password protect this page, might be good for some sort of a membership directory or other. I can just add a password, try to make it something unique, same day 2012, let's say. Click OK, and now my page is going to be password protected. I can just come back here, password protected, please type in the password, same day 2012, and then it displays my content. I can change that back to public, and then that password protection will go away. You can also change, you can schedule your pages to be published in the future. This is great for a contest or some type of product announcement or a teleseminar announcement. And we can actually schedule a post to be, going live on, May 21st. And I can click update. And then that page, it's going to show you when it's scheduled for. You can change that at any time. Page attributes, you're really not going to use this section if you have a website that has different page templates. So for example, some websites might have a website that has a sidebar here or a different template that has no sidebar. Sometimes a blog page will have a different template or look than the other pages, or a home page will have a different template than the internal pages. And so if you're, trying to add a page with a different template, you can work within the templates here. But again, it's different for every website, so you may or may not even have that option. The last thing to show you on this page is the all-in-one SEO pack, and I'm actually going to direct you to our very next video. Is a short video all about search engine optimization, so we can watch that here in a minute. However, I just want to make sure that if I could add like red stars all the way around this section, I would, because your all-in-one SEO pack is one of the most important sections of your whole website. This is where you can add search engine optimization meta, it's called meta information. So a title and a description and some keywords that relate to this page, and it's something that Google is going to see and use to better be able to index each page within your website. Okay? So quick overview again, if we go into all pages, we'll be able to see a list of all of our pages. If we hover on a particular page, we'll see a little navigation bar appear. I can click edit to edit a page. I can add a title, change the URL, add the content. I can publish the page or schedule it to publish later. I can password protect a page if I want to. We've learned how to add video, upload images, and documents is the exact same way. We talked a little bit about page attributes, and you now know that all-in-one SEO pack is extremely important, and during the next video we are going to go into more detail about that. Again, if you have any additional questions, you can either contact your webmaster or do a simple Google search as well to dig in deeper with any of these topics. Thanks so much. See you soon.